Botnets very frequently feature in distributed denial of service attacks, and it makes sense because it gives the attacker a way of leveraging their attack by using infected machine to multiply the effectiveness of their denial of service efforts. I want to run through just the basic simple overview of a botnet because we're going to come back and talk about multiple other points throughout this in the next lectures. So here the way of typical botnet is put together. So we have an attacker, and often when we talk about botnets, the attacker may also be referred to as an bot hitter. So this is the person who is responsible for crawling all these infected machines, and the form part of the botnet. So now the attacker communicates with the control server, and a control server is also often referred to as commanding control or C and a seed server, and this is the point which is going to be all the individuals infected machine that run in the botnet. So the CNC server is a really critical part of this infrastructure. Now in large botnets there may be multiple CNC servers, and one of the reason for this is that it gives the attacker some redundancy. So if one CNC server gets taken down and saved by law enforcement, there are other which may still run and issue command to the machines of the botnet. But for the sake of the simplicity, let's represent it in a single environment here. Now the real key to the botnet is that the control server is going to coordinate the zombies, and the zombies are individual infected machine in the botnet. You may also see this as a slaves at a time, and that's why we're really talking about here is otherwise legitimate machines. So for example, PCs, possibly like the one you are watching here, they have been infected with malware and now taking instruction from the control server. So it's just not always about PCs. We see server become infected and form part of the botnet as well, and in fact servers can be enormously useful to the bot because they tend to have a very high level of uptime and very good connectivity as well. And really this is what the attacker wants. They want to have a big pipes from these zombies in their botnet, so that each one of them has then launch a text. And then keep in mind these otherwise legitimate PC servers used by the normal everyday people like us, like you, like me. They have just infected with a malware through one of those usual channels. Perhaps it was a pop-up on a website that entices them to run an executable, or it might have been delivered by email or spread on a USB sticks. So there are many different ways that machine can get infected, and malware now large botnet can have thousands and thousands, even millions of infected machines. Think about that for a scale, millions of machines all under the control of this one attacker. These machines are typically used to do things like send spam, and we have seen individual botnets like send tens of billions of spam emails every single day to tens of millions of people. But to bring this back around to distribute the denial of service, imagine you have a millions of genes in your bot. So if you could orchestrate those millions to make a request to a target website simultaneously, that's a huge amount of volume coming from all corners of the world as well. A large scale button, even a botnet numbering in the near tens of thousands, can be enormously effective at taking down target website at any time and any moment. So many of the examples we are going to look in the future are executed via the botnets. So we are going to look at the individual attack styles that used to maximize the damage on the target environments, but very frequently, so those patterns then get distributed out of these zombie machines. So now we'll talk about the different types of botnet. So the botnet attacks can differ based on their methods and the tools they employ. Sometimes these botnets themselves don't attack, but instead become a pathway for hacker to launch secondary campaign like scams and ransom attacks. And some of the common types of botnet attacks include, like we talked previously, DDOS attacks. So one of the more common types of botnet attack which work by overloading a server with web traffic sent by bots in order to crash it. This downtime the server operation can also be used for launching additional botnet based attacks. They are often launched with the purpose of extracting key information for a organization employee. For example, mass spam campaign can be devised and immediate trusted sources within the organization to trick people into revealing their confidential information like login details, financial information or credit card details. Those involve programs which forcefully breach web account by force. Dictionary attack and credential stuffing are used to exploit weak user password and access their data. Now, how can we prevent the botnet attacks? Preventing the botnet attacks can be very difficult and has been more difficult over the years. So one of the main challenges is preventing this attack is the devices. As different types of devices become easily available, often with their own security setting, if become difficult to monitor, track and stop this attack before they happen, yet you can still take certain measures to prevent botnet attacks. One of the main pathways that botnet take the penetration and compromise the business security system is using the unpatched vulnerability present in the network machine. This makes it critical to keep the system updated and to ensure new updates are installed as soon as they are available. This also includes hardware devices, especially legacy devices, which can often be ignored in enterprises when they are no longer used actively. It is important to follow basic security hygiene on device as well to keep botnet attack at bay. This involves using complex password, educating employees about the danger of phishing emails and clicking on suspicious attachments and links. Enterprises should also take appropriate measures to ensure that any new device that enters their network has sound security settings. Taking measures to log access to machine in another way you can prevent botnet attack. In addition to a strong password, you should also deploy multi-factor authentication and control to provide access to only those who need it the most. If access to critical systems are controlled and separated from each other, it becomes slightly easier to isolate botnet attack to a specific set of devices and to eradicate them there. Prevention of botnet attacks requires good technique to detect them ahead of time. Using advanced analytics to monitor and managing traffic flows, user access and data leaks is another measure anyone can take to prevent this.